Good, well, evening. It is the most amazing one-day special that we have and here for you. And we are talking about Tilda beautiful fabrics and already very busy. We are talking about the garden life, the gorgeous florals. But you know what, before we get into details, shall we say hello to the absolute amazing, talented and incredible, top favorites here at the craft store. Of course, Jennie Raymond. How are you?
Hello, Paula. Hey, listen, I'm being caught hand sewing. Yes, this fabric was so super. I took it on holiday with me because last week I had to go on holiday because I'm homeless at the moment, only because I've got builders in who just don't want to know about the dust.
Oh, well, we need to find out all the details about that.
I took the fabric with me and I actually did some hexagons over papers because it was just too yummy to leave at home and I couldn't bear the thought of not being with it.
Oh, this is, well, that's a testament about how beautiful these fabrics are, how exquisite, how can I say, unmissable they are, because of course we are talking about the garden life of Tilda fabrics, the gorgeous florals. They are of course brand new here at the craft store. Now we have got 4 options to choose from, but whatever option you go for, you are getting 5 half-meter pieces, so you are getting 2.5 meters in total of gorgeous Tilda quilting weight fabric, 100% cotton, of course. Now let's go talk about the options that you have. So colorways, you are always going to get the bold peony, the garden life pattern. You are getting the poppies, you are getting the nasturtium, and of course you are getting the petunia. Those ones are the 5 prints. Now this option of course is the pink and mustard option, which is, you know what, it is the most popular one, and I'm with you. Is pink sometimes can be a little bit too, I don't know, too girly or too kind of, but this is just elegant pink.
It is. It's a very subtle pink.
It is.
You know, they've taken the edge off it, and because they've rounded it off with the mustard, it's sort of not pink in your face. This is just beautifully delicate.
Yeah.
And those lovely floral designs.
I love the kind of echoing in here. It does lines.
I mean, the petunias you've got there, they are beautifully done, and it goes so well. In fact, we've got a blender that goes brilliantly with that. But if you look in between, you've got this little sort of like a maze in between, and the petunias and the leaves. I mean, this is summer. Summer is coming in.
And then we are going to the nasturtiums, or can you pronounce it properly for me once?
They are nasturtiums, or nasty urchins.
Oh, nasty urchins. Of course, you can see a little bit of not the sea urchins, but then I have to say, poppies, this is one of my favorites. It's absolutely stunning. And I'm going to put it like this. I'm going to go, look at this. Look at how stunning they are. I mean, there is that, poppies always put a smile in my face. They have got that ethereal petals.
They do indeed, and it's a lovely poppy design. It's not a big repeat, and it would make a fantastic tablecloth, table mats, bags. You can use them for your quilts. Hey, come on, we all could do with a quilt for summer. Reflecting the summer colours. Summer will, well, it still is. It is coming in.
Now, of course, the fabric that gives it names to the fall collection, the garden life. This one is, you can see it here, those gorgeous, look at that, birds and beautiful
birds and the
flowers.
bunches of flowers. They are absolutely exquisite. You could fussy cut that, you could take the bird out, you could take the bunch of flowers out. Just a square of that's going to make a wonderful cushion.
It is indeed. And then finally, the last print that you are getting, of course, is the bold peony, which is absolutely stunning. Fussy cutting this one is just, it's a must, right?
Yes, well, in fact, I was doing that on my hexagons because I was placing a hexagon in the middle there. A 3-inch hexagon will just fit beautifully. So those of you who love your hand sewing, why not use the peonies and fussy cut them.
Love this. Right, remember these ones are the prints in the pink and mustard option. Now if you are, and of course these names are important because we have also a pick and mix option for you. So for instance, if you wanted to go, so saying I actually love the specifically 2 different prints, you can go for a pick and mix and then you're getting 1/2 meters. Now that could be across any of the one day special colorways. So for instance, you think thinking, I love the poppies, but I love them in pink and mustard, and the next one, which of course is the coral and lilac, you could do that as well. So there is that option to do that, and the pick and mix details at the bottom of the screen, £15.80 for, of course, that is the pick and mix. Now, if you want to go for the one day special, you are getting all 5 half meters of the pink and mustard, approaching 20% of the stock already gone, and we are not even 10 minutes in. Lilac and coral, you know, I'm going to be changing my mind very, very quickly.
I thought you might. See, I'm not a lilac person.
Me
but
either.
When I saw that, I thought I really, really, really like the lilacs and the corals.
I mean, I have to say, this is a kind of a rich aubergine. It's
Yes,
a royal
yes.
kind of. It has got that
Yes.
warmth to it.
Yes, absolutely. And it's such beautiful, pretty designs from your
Oh, yeah.
pausing for thought. I'm just overcome with the beautifulness of the fabric.
Yes, it is. See, for instance, this is great because you could go for the one day special, say, for instance, the mustard and pink, and then say, well, I actually love this print. So you can do for the pick and mix in this colorway, which of course is the gorgeous coral and lilac. I mean, I think this is just stunning. And of course, you are getting all 5. So you are getting the bulb peony, the garden life, the poppies, the nasturtiums, and of course you have the gorgeous petunia, all 5 half meters in the coral and lilac, or lilac and coral. That thing about that I said about favorite, changing my mind. I mean, this is stunning, absolutely stunning. This one is green and sage in here. I mean, Jenny, I mean, I'm gonna look at this one.
Father, you're going to have them all, you know.
Yeah, look at this, because I mean, when you start looking at the colors that come through it, and also kind of thinking, if you go for the pink and mustards, this of course will work very well as well.
It would work extremely well with it.
I love that. I mean, and I love the word that you used earlier on, Jenny, this exquisiteness of these fabrics.
Yes, they're beautifully printed, they're beautifully made, and they're beautifully coloured. I mean, that green by itself is just such an amazingly happy fabric.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Of course, you are getting the bulb peony, the garden life, the poppy, the amazing nasturtium, and of course the petunia. Now, all is on the greens, and of course the green and sage. Now, to give you an idea, because of course we have them folded, but they are half meter pieces. So then this is the garden life in the last option colorway, which is the blue option. And look at this. I mean, oh, isn't that delight? It's just the most stunning of beautiful fabrics, isn't it? I cannot see a thing behind it, but I can see the light through it. Now there it is. I can see it. Now you can see the gorgeous bird, the gorgeous wildflowers. I mean, look at that. Butterflies as well. Is this one of those fabrics, Jenny, that you discover different things every time that you look at it?
Yes, you do, and it's very much a feature fabric, and I mean, it is just a cushion cover, it is just the side of a bag, it is just table mats. If you buy probably 2.5 meters of it and it comes as one piece, it is the tablecloth. You know, it's just there. It needs nothing. It needs no quilting, it needs no addition, it just is.
I love that. And of course, the blue option, that was Garden Life that I showed you. You are getting the bull peony, you are getting the poppy, you are getting the nasturtium, and finally you are getting the petunia. I'm going to show again sideways, because especially for the poppies, I do believe that it showcases much better when they are the direction. I mean, I just adore the poppies. I mean, if you are thinking about the pick and mix, if you wanted the poppies just in every single colorway, by all means you can do that, but of course you're choosing any two. Details at the bottom of the screen. However, if you are thinking of a project in which you want to kind of have the same colorways, do go for the one day special. You are getting 5 half-meter pieces, 5 different patterns from the gorgeous Garden Life from Tilda, and of course you have a £5 saving, £34.50. Now it will be dispatched from the 9th of July. Just of course that means that it is a little bit of an extended delivery, but make sure that you grab yours by checking out your baskets. 800861 is your item number. Of course the pick and mix, you will find it on the website. So when you go there, you can see them, all the different fabrics in there, so all the different options. So you can see the poppies in pink, nasturtium and mustard, petunia and pink, so on and so forth. So then hence is you are creating your own collection, your own mini collection, or if you wanted more, you could go for more. I just think that poppies is just, I wanted them all, to be honest. You could go for all of them if you wanted as well. Right, remember to add, make your selection, then add to your baskets, and then check out your baskets. Now, you may want to add some solids, and we have got the Moda solids, which is an exceptional quality as well, isn't it?
Extremely good quality. Again, they're beautifully printed, so you're getting a very consistent colour throughout.
Yeah.
And they will blend with the Tilda fabrics. So, you know, you can mix and match, because when you've got a beautiful design, you need to have a negative area to offset the beautiful design.
Yes.
So the beautiful design is the positive piece, and then you need a negative beside it.
Yeah.
So you really can offset it. I mean, when you've shown those lovely blenders, then we can perhaps look at one or two of the things that I've made where I've combined both the blender and some of the Tilda
Indeed
fabrics.
we can. Shall we look at the different colors options? You're choosing any two, and of course they are half meter pieces. So we have got the Iris, which is that deep beautiful purple. Then we have got the pesto. Oh, that gorgeous zesty green, very luminous green. Then we have the popsicle. Then we have got we still have got, this is the popsicle. That's absolutely amazing, isn't it? Then we have got the blue, which is coastal. Gorgeous. And I love the kind of, you can feel it that it's Moda because of the softness of the fabric. Cyclamen, we have got, of course, that is the beautiful. This one is more of a, how we can say it, more of a plummy color rather than the other one, which was more aubergine. I would say the
very
Iris.
much so. Yep.
And then we have the cantaloupe, beautiful color. Then we are moving on to a really a peony, a beautiful. Yeah, that's a kind of a peony pink. That's one of ruffly pink.
It's a lovely pink that.
It is indeed. Then we have. Oh, afternoon. Oh, that is an afternoon. It's really zesty. And then the ivory, which is much more ivory than I can see in our monitors. I don't know your monitors at home, but there is definitely an ivory. And finally, it has to be one of my favorites, the pool. I just want to dip inside it. It's just such a gorgeous color. 929316 is your item number. You pick and choose whichever two colors you want to, and of course then you add it to your baskets. Now, once they're gone as the same as the half meters, half pick and mix. So make sure once you have made your selection to check out your baskets. Now, on the website, you will find lots more, thecraftstore.com, like a little bit of Jennie Raymond. We have got 5-star reviews for those books. Of course they are, because they are fabulous. They're not only inspirational, but also quite funny, like the lady herself. Then we have got also Tilda fabrics in there, pick and mixes, but they are incredibly limited in stock. So all that we can get is there on the website. So make sure that you do you make your selection and then you check out your baskets. Now you can tell you that the plum, see, that's gone. The plum garden is a technical sellout. So if you have it in your baskets, you will get it. Otherwise, you will miss out. If you do not want to miss out, there's only one way here, and it's to check out your baskets. Remember, already a sellout. We are not even a quarter of a past and already a sellout. Now, Jennie, you were talking about those mixing of the gorgeous garden life with the solids.
Yes. So if we look at what I have been doing. So there I've mixed with the lilac range, I've mixed it with the darker blender. And then I must just turn this around because I just had to just use this as an entire piece, and for some reason the cushion be put the wrong way around. So look, I mean, there is your cushion. You just need that. And we have a 15.5-inch square board. You don't even need to fuss about it. You cut twice round that, stitch round all three sides, leave an opening, stick a feather pad in. Or if you use a polyester pad, you can sew it up because then you can wash that in the washing machine, sling it in the tumble dryer. You don't need to take the pad out because it's polyester, and it will be absolutely fine. So that's using the lilac range.
Love that.
Coming on to this one, that's a fairly heavy.
And I love the peonies, the bold peonies in the front as well.
This is an idea that is called the bias effect, and this comes from the book that I have here, this particular one, which I should demonstrate. So if you want to know how to do that, that's in Creative Tucks and Textures.
I love how the lines reflect the lines, the stripes in the peony, in the petunia.
I think that was happenstance, Paola. I didn't actually think about that. Then we have, this is a way of doing log cabin. It's actually courthouse steps, where I mixed the blue range with the pinky range here and incorporated the green in the middle there. So you can see they mix and match and they blend. Okay. Going backwards again, here we've got the feature fabric with the little birds, and I fussy cut it here, mixed up with the petunias and the plain blender. Now this is a different blender to the one I used originally. Moving on a little bit further, this is also log cabin. It's another way of doing log cabin. I think it's called straight furrow, this one, although it's hanging sideways, where again I've mixed a variety of the fabrics because they do mix and match together. So that's some of the things that I've done. Then show you a couple of others. This one was literally created this morning very simply, and here we have the lilac range with 2 of the blenders going through there. The one that is here, which will be my first demonstration, which is the disappearing 9-patch. Now don't groan and say, oh, I've seen the disappearing 9-patch lots of times. This is the double disappearing 9-patch, the double disappearing 9-patch, which gives you a design that looks a little bit like that. And again, I have mixed the pinker range with the blue range and popped in a different blender. So you do need to have, in my opinion, the blenders. And indeed, coming back to my holiday homework, which was done whilst in the car, I wasn't driving.
Good.
You can see that I've fussy cut the centre around here, and then added the different lilac-y ones around the edge. And this one I've isolated with the green blender in the middle. And eventually, I am going to make a quilt. It's going to take me quite a long time, and I'm probably going to need quite a lot more holidays in order to be able to finish it actually off. But I did do something over papers. I did do something by hand.
That is just gorgeous. I love that. I love also the samples that you have shown, which, by the way, incredible. I don't know how you find the time to do so much with them, but it's just different. When you look at the florals, you think, well, some of them are quite oversized. They are kind of larger size. Yet you manage to make them look, the nasturtiums, almost like ditzy florals in a way. I mean, it's not, they are not, but but they work as. Yes,
they do. So they and great. If you're a beginner in the patchwork world, if you've got a fabric design that's fairly busy, your mistakes will not notice. Yeah. As a word of caution, if you're a beginner and you work with solids or the planes, if you make a mistake, boy, does it notice when you don't get your lines together. But if you use a lovely, softly patterned design, if they're not quite 100%, nobody's going to notice.
Absolutely. And I was looking at them as well. And for instance, the petunia, it sort of has a direction, but again, it's not quite directional, the petunia or the nasturtium. So you still have like those kind of elements that you can play around, so you don't have to obsess about the direction of the fabric.
No.
And one of the things I always think with Tilda is the colors are so spot on that is when you don't have to think about, are these colors elegant? Do they work together? You can blend all the patterns and everything will work together.
Yes, because they're all using the same range of dyes, and so all the dyes actually enhance each other and work in harmony.
Yeah, they are indeed. Right, of course, the one day special, the details are on the screen. Remember, you have got 5 color options in there, which are the mustard and pink, the coral and lilac and coral, green and sage and blue. Now, the mustard and pink, 1/3 of the stock has gone. If you want it very much so, you should check out your baskets. Lilac and coral, 1/3 of the stock as well gone. Green and sage, over 1/3 of the stock. Wow. And blue, approaching 1/3. very busy. That is very busy. You are going for across the board. So if you have got a favorite, we cannot call now. Basically, we cannot tell you which one is really in danger. Therefore, if I was you, I would be checking out the basket for my top favorite right now, straight away. Don't miss out on them. And also the other thing I would consider is maybe going for 2 of them, or going for the pick and mix, because remember, the pick and mix, once it's gone, and therefore maybe you are like me that are completely in love with the poppy fabric, and you want to say, now if you wanted to say, I want to go for the pink and mustard, and then you want to go for the poppies in green and sage, and say for instance lilac and coral, you need to do that. You need to put them on your baskets and then check out your baskets. £15 and 80 pence is for the pick and mix, and of course that kind of, or maybe you wanted more of you are going for the pink and mustard, but you wanted extra of a specific 2. You do that, and then of course you put it on the basket. Of course, if you want it, 465008 is your item number. Now, Jenny, what is the first project you are going to do?
Well, I'm going to do, as I said, the double disappearing 9 patch. But before I do that, just want to reference this rotary cutter.
Okay, yep, sure.
We have got on the show the 3 sizes of the Ultra rotary cutter. Where did I put my other 2? We have the 60 and the 45 and the 28. Now, this particular Ultra cutter is remarkably good for its blade changing.
Right.
And on the back, it literally is, you slide this back and everything neatly falls off safely, because one of the problems of changing the blade is catching your fingers. So when you have bought this, if you choose to buy it, then keep the packaging, because on the packaging it explains how easy it is to change the blade. And this is a huge problem with people in rotary cutters. And if I had a fiver for every time I'm teaching in the classroom and someone's rotary cutter blade is not in the correct place, usually down by their partners who say, oh, darling, I know exactly how this goes together, and they put it together wrong. You will not get this wrong, because it's easy to do, it's safe to do. So this is a revolutionary way of being able to get the blade off and put a new blade on. And there are 3 different sizes. And I tell you something, there is nothing nicer than using a new rotary cutting blade. It goes through just like butter. Really does. So if I was going to do another hexagon and I had to cut my original hexagons out with a pair of scissors, you just cut round there with the rotary cutter, and it's very simple to slide the guard up and down over the blade, and this should become like breathing. So, good idea, well done, Ulfa. Right, the double disappearing 9 patch. Let's put these bits out of the way. Double disappearing 9 patch is made amazingly with 9 patches.
Well, who would have thought?
Strange to say. And I have chosen, there's the spare ones on the top there, to use 4 of the blender,
which is the gorgeous pool. I think that's
it is indeed. I've got the pink version.
Oh, the mustard.
And I've got the nasturtiums in the blue version. Now, when you come to start your disappearing 9 patch basic one, the squares that go in between, so the ones that go on the 4 corners, can be your feature fabric, because they don't get cut. Let's move my hexagons out of the way. The ones that go in the center and here will get cut in half. So it pays to remember that this will end up like a border to the other fabrics. Now, the reason for laying these out, and I know many of you will have seen the 9 patch before and groan, oh, why is she doing a disappearing 9 patch? Reason for talking to you about this is when you come to sew a 9 patch together, I would not do 3 rows of 3. And the reason for that is that in order to line my seams up here, I've got to jiggle this to line those 2 seams up, and then I've got to jiggle this one to line those seams up. I would sew a 9 patch together like this. I'd sew those 2 together, I'd sew those 2 together, and I'd join that to make a block of 4. It's very simple to get that seam lined up. I'd then join those 2 together, and I didn't worry about which way up this fabric went, it's not directional, and I joined that onto my block of 4, and again that is very simple because it's the same seam as that one. Then I'd only have 1 row of 3 I have to jiggle in order to get those seams aligned. So I would always do a 9 patch like that. And again, I'd always press the seams open and flat. And the reason for doing that is I think you get a better looking piece of work in the end, and you don't have lumpy bumpy bits where the seams go. Yeah. It's interesting to note that dear Hayley is also doing this now. So there are my 9 squares joined together. Now the basic disappearing 9 patch is you then cut this in half and in half again. I'm just trying to find where my ruler went to.
Okay.
As I'm missing it, I'm going to use the big 15.5-inch square. Now this was mentioned on the show. This is a 15.5-inch square. If you want a cushion cover, you're into business making cushions, you want to make a lot of cushions, all you've got to do is cut around the square. You haven't even got to worry about sizing it. But it's actually also quite useful for cutting anything large. What one does then is measure across the gap there, and you're going to divide it in half. So as I was using 4-inch squares in this case, that should be 3.5 across there, and half of 3.5 is 1 7/8. So I'm going to put my ruler so the 1 7/8 inch line is aligned with this seam all the way down. I'll twitch this a bit because I might have walked a little, and then cut. Guard off your cutter, cut up the edge. You need to do exactly the same thing along here. So if you're lucky and you can walk around the table, you can move to the side of the thing. I'm just going to move mine this way and do it as 2 individual things. So remember 1 7/8. So there's the 1, there's the 1 7/8. Yeah. There it is in the middle. So this is the classic disappearing 9 patch. You will end up with 4 squares of fabric. One more time on here, 1 7/8. So whatever the size of this center square is, you cut it in half and up there. So if you're going to do the regular disappearing 9 patch, you take 2 of these squares and they get turned round so the larger square comes to the center. That is the basic disappearing 9 patch. But what you can do is do it again.
Again?
So if we take our 4 squares here and I spread them out and you measure them, and I can tell you the answer is actually 5.5 inches. Okay. 5.5 inches. So you then cut 4 5.5-inch squares in one of the fabrics, or it could be another fabric. I chose to cut it in this fabric here, which I'm going to put in the middle there.
All right.
And one goes there. And one goes here.
Okay.
And one goes there. And then I'm going to put one in the middle, which will be going back to my blender fabric. If you then sew that together,
yes,
okay, down here, and you cut it up and move the pieces around, the end result will actually be this.
Why is 9 double?
And this is your double disappearing 9 patch. So I'm very quickly going to leave these bits together, sew these bits together here. Now when you do come to sew anything together, obviously it's right sides together and you want a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now my particular machine I can set doing 1/4 inch by moving the needle. I choose not to use the patchwork foot. I prefer to use the regular foot and shift the needle. So sewing the 9 patch together in the way that I recommended, foot down, and of course you at home will be able to sit down. I'm having to stand on one leg.
Yeah, that's
all the way down the first 2.
We usually you can be sitting down.
Yes, usually you can be sitting. We allow you to sit down at home. Pick up the next. Now chain piece. All you hardened stitchers, I know you know about chain piecing, but maybe you don't know about chain piecing. I'm going to do this one as well.
So basically it means that you don't cut the thread?
It means you don't cut the thread, you just keep on going and keep on going. It's called chain piecing because you end up with a little chain coming out.
And
I will then
why
cut
do you
it.
do that? Exactly.
And the reason why I do that is it saves thread. The machine is in sewing mode, so it will keep on stitching. Right, I've now got those 2 sections stitched, so as I explained, I'm going to sew this bit to this bit. Put your seams together in the centre, and this is where I would press them, or finger press them, open and flat. And stitch it all the way along here. Now this is going to be done fairly swiftly, so please no comments about my misplaced piecing.
Is there any occasion where opening the seams flat would be not ideal? Or?
To be quite honest, Paula, there are times when you push the seams to one side and there are times when you have them open and flat. Okay. There is no hard and fast rule. Okay. If I'm doing a log cabin patchwork or some of the Seminole patchworks, it is more sensible to push them to one side.
Right.
Now coming to the end here, I want a scrap, little scrap. I tend to use the smallest scrap as possible. This is the famed donkey. You sew onto the scrap and stop, and I can cut the pieces from behind me.
And what would you? What have you? Why? I'm sorry, I kind of thing. I have put the donkey through the machine.
Right. The reason for the donkey is that it's going to. It's as though I'm still chain piecing. I've sewn onto it and stopped. I'll sew those two together now.
Saves thread.
Correct. It saves thread. The needle doesn't get unthreaded because you haven't stopped stitching. You also tend to sew straighter as you sew off the end because you're still thinking sewing. Let's put that needle out the way there and put this one on the end of that one.
Okay.
And it doesn't jump out the take-up lever. Some machines are very good at jumping out the take-up lever, the take-up lever being the lever that's there, where you catch the thread round it. And it just is a simple way of just keeping on sewing and sewing and sewing. When I get to the end of my seams, I just cut him off, stick it under, sew onto the scrap, pause on the scrap, and the trick is you cut behind the presser foot. Right, we've got those three done there, these two here, and stitches on here. Always worth checking to make sure you've got the bit in the right place.
Yes.
Right, line my seams up in the middle.
I like the way that you are showing this because it's kind of quite time and thread efficient.
Yes. Right, open your seams. You could have pressed them open and flat. I'll open the one at the bottom, open the one at the top here. Now, a top tip, if you're worried about your seams, and if you use a small pair of scissors, slightly open, that will hold the seam together. So use your scissors slightly open. And as the presser foot comes towards it, take the scissors away because you don't want to sew onto your scissors because you'll break the needle. Right, to the end of this, I now need to find my little donkey again. Where are you, donkey? Hello, donkey. Come in, your time is up. Onto the donkey's back. You could use a bigger donkey, you don't have to use such a small scrap. And one last seam is to put this on here, and then I can show you the magic of the double disappearing line patch. Line your seams up. So off the donkey's back, all the way down here. Open your seams. I could have pressed. Be careful when you're pressing because it's so easy to stretch the fabrics with the iron, particularly if you use a steam iron. So get those seams together in the middle there. Hold them if necessary. Use the little scissors if you want to. One last little bit to go, and then I can show you the magic of what happens when you just cut it up and you get the... Now, I used 4-inch squares. So I had 9 4-inch squares to begin with, and then when I had done the cutting up the first time, I measured the squares again and I made it 5.5 inches. It's well worth checking. Don't take my word for it because if your seam allowance is slightly different, that measurement will be slightly different. Right.
Oh, that's absolutely gorgeous.
Onto me little donkey. Hello, donkey.
The donkey's there.
Onto that. Right, stop. Right, so there is my 9 patch stitched together again. You would press it. I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah. I'm just going to now cut it.
Oh, cut it again.
So cut it again. So measure across the gap there, and that happens to measure 5 inches, and half of 5 is 2.5, so 2.5. This really is a very useful square ruler. Jiggle it a bit. You won't have to jiggle it at home because you will have pressed it. Up to there. Remove this, flip it round again, replace the ruler. Remember, look at it, cut. Once you've checked, don't just cut. Think about it before you do it.
And of course, we have got that ruler on the show, I believe, bottom of the screen for the 15.5 square quilting ruler, £22.99. And it's really useful to have the larger square.
The big square is great. And it does every size of square from sort of, you know, half an inch if you must up to 15.5 inches. So there was my design. And all you do in the time-honoured disappearing 9-patch way is turn 2 of them round. And then when you sew it together, it's going to look something just like this.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
And you can see you're going to get this pattern going across it. Now, interestingly, I originally did it using 5-inch squares. Yeah. And when I had sewn the 5-inch squares and cut them up, I had to use a 7.5-inch square. And look at the difference in the size. That was 5 inches, and that was using 4-inch squares. Vastly different in size. So if you want a really quick quilt, 5-inch squares to begin with, do the stitching, cut it up, measure it again. I think you'll find the answer is 7 or 7.5 or something like that, depending on your seams, and you're going to get a very quick quilt. So go ahead. Order your
Without
fabric.
any pattern whatsoever.
Without any pattern whatsoever.
Thank you so much, Jennie, for that fabulous demo. I mean, you can see how glorious those Tilda Fabrics Garden Lives are. Whether you are using them across the patterns, whether you are going for multiple options of the One Day Special, they are all phenomenal. They are the most gorgeous palette of colors because, of course, it's Tilda Fabrics. Quilting weight, 100% cotton, perfect for quilts, but of course perfect for cushion covers, perfect for beautiful, chair, kind of dresses, like I call them, kind of hangings. It's just glorious. You have five different options. So the first option is the mustard and pink. Approaching 40% of the total 24-hour stock has gone off the glorious collection. Now, you are getting, in whichever option you go for color-wise, you are going to get 5 gorgeous prints, exquisite detail. The bold petunia is the first one that we are looking at. Absolutely stunning, with those tiny dots in the background, the mustard leaves as well, and those ruffly petals in the center, so typical of the peony. Then we have the Garden Live. The Garden Live is, of course, the one that features the butterflies, the birds, the wildflowers in there, so a little bit of colors, hints and colors of everywhere in there as well. Then we are talking about the poppies. This is definitely one of my favorite prints because in the mustard and pink especially, let me put it like this so you can see the direction of the poppies. Absolutely glorious. Then you are getting also the nasturtium, which is absolutely glorious flower in here. This one is the smallest in size, but it's not quite a ditzy print, although because it kind of is multi-directional in a way. I mean, it's not, but it is, if you know what I mean. It kind of works really well as a kind of a more, I would say, accent fabric as well. Then we have got the glorious petunia, and I love that how Jennie described it earlier. It's that kind of a maze, or I call it as an echo, because it's kind of like if you do echo quilting, kind of that's the kind of lines that you kind of go in as well. Love this. It's just very original, and I love how Tilda does beautiful soft colors that they have got personality. They are not dull, even though they are not how you say it, kind of bright. They are incredibly elegant and sophisticated. 40% now of mustard and pink has gone. Then we have the lilac and coral, and I want to remind everybody that if you are like me, that you have a clear favorite for the One Day Special, but then you have a clear favorite prints, you can also go for the One Day Special and then a pick and mix, and the details are at the will come at the bottom of the screen, which allows you to select 2 half-meter pieces, just for whichever ones you want, so you can combine across the colors. Now the lilac and coral, I believe, is 30% of over a third now of the stock has gone. See here, for instance, I adore, like for me, is the poppies in here. The poppies, and again, the Garden Life, just phenomenal. Think about maybe making, I think this would be a pencil case in this, a makeup bag, a backpack or a tote bag with a gorgeous canvas in one side, and then this floral print into the front, like the pocket. This is the sort of fabrics that you are thinking a reversible tote bag that would work really well, wouldn't it? There's so many ideas in my head now with this gorgeousness because they are exquisite. Then the lilac and coral, we move on to the green and sage, which this one is also very, very popular option, approaching 40% of the stock. This is our Molly Imair, Molly producer favorite. She's a young one. She's very young, and she goes for the serene calm, that blue, and of course the sage and green. Molly has got a very calm personality when she's sleeping, and of course you can see there here. It's just because she said, "Oh, I have got a very calm personality." It's like, yeah, probably when she's sleeping. You can see them here, but this is the thing. This would be lovely in a bedroom. And I am also thinking curtains. You don't have to make a curtains, the whole curtain, but you could do like a curtain holder or just a sash, a trim. A tie back,
yes, or you add a trim.
A trim,
exactly. If you
exactly.
split the curtain and you put a trim in it, or you apply a trim to it.
Yeah.
Or you could just put it down as an edging.
Oh, you know what? One thing I adore is the bed runner at the bottom of the bed, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I think this would be so beautiful if you have got this plain duvet, like a kind of a gorgeous beige or something like that, and then you have this at the bottom of there, because it's a simple project to do.
Yes, you don't have to do anything. I mean, it literally, and it would fit the size of a single bed.
Yeah.
If you bought two the same, you join them together, and you have a runner for a king-size bed.
Indeed.
Put it onto some wadding, and we've got that really super, that fusible batting on the show.
Yes, indeed we do.
Which is absolutely splendid. So iron it onto the fusible batting, iron a backing onto the fusible wadding or batting, call it what you will, and you've just about good to go. All you've got to do is bind it.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the binding done in this show, I'll show you binding in the 8 o'clock show.
Well, then that's a must, of course, but it must be as well to check out your baskets. Now, of course, the green and sage, very popular option. Now, 40% of the stock has gone. You're saving £5, just paying £34.50 for 2.5 meters of glorious Tilda fabric. And then we have, of course, the blue option in here. Over a third of the stock has gone. Again, the poppies. I keep showing the poppies, I know, but it's just like, it's so glorious to see all the different colorways with the poppies, because you can see here, this one is the one that features the poppies in those beautiful corals. It's just a stunning print, but this is one of 5. Remember, we are talking Tilda, amazing quality, amazing gorgeousness of palettes. And there is one more thing that I love about Tilda as well, that you invest today in a collection, don't you worry, because in 5 years time Tilda will still be absolutely gorgeous and still will coordinate as well with other collections that you may have from Tilda. And of course, if you want this collection, it will, you have got the details on the left hand side of the screen. 800861 is your item number. Now, pick and mix. Now, this is the way, it's exactly the same fabric, it's the same colorways, well, at the minute, because once they're gone, they're gone. So therefore, you might miss out on your colors. So for instance, if you wanted to go for bold peonies in pink, here they are. Now, this means that if you are like me, that you are falling in love with a specific print, you can go for those ones in a pick and mix. If, for instance, you want to go for the Garden Alive in mustard and pink, we still have it available, so make sure to check out your baskets. This one is poppies in pink. Then we have got a nasturtium in mustard, the striped petunia in pink, poppies in lilac. Poppies lilac is limited stock. I'm telling you, those poppies are amazing. You know, if I was you at home, I would put it in my basket and check them out. Then, of course, we have got the bold peony in coral. And then we have the nasturtium in lavender. And then we have got the striped petunia in coral, the Garden Live in plum, the nasturtium in green. I wish the poppies in green. I kind of have to laugh because I love that I finally found a word that I can pronounce and Molly can't. Because I'm like, usually it's nasturtium, she just can't. I'm like, you finally understand me. Of course, we have got the striped petunia in coral. No, that would be great. Is it the coral? Yeah, that would be in green because the coral, we have seen it already. And then we have got the bold peony in grey-green. And then we have got the Garden Life in green, the petunia blue, nasturtium in blue, Garden Alive in blue, the poppies blue, and bold peony in blue. Right, now if you want to go for any of them, remember the poppies in lilac are already limited stock, and once they're gone, they're gone. So I would be checking out those baskets. Love that I can pronounce nasturtium. Probably not very well, but better than Molly. That's all it matters. Then, of course, we have the plain, the Moda solids, which are absolutely exceptional, beautiful colors, vibrant, and of course, they coordinate gorgeously with the one-day special. So if you need a binding or blender, or of course, to rest the eyes from the beautiful patterns, these are the ones to go for. We have got the iris, that deep burgundy, deep, now I can say aubergine, yeah. Then we have the pesto, which is, I would say it's more of between a pesto and a chartreuse.
Yes, I would agree with you there.
Oh, yep. Thank goodness. And then we have got the popsicle as well, which is a kind of a bright, I would say it has got a coral undertone.
It definitely has a coral. There is, you know, orange, it tends towards the yellows rather than, reds tend to go to either towards the blues or towards the yellows, and that one goes towards the yellows. Coral describes it fine.
And then we have the coastal, which is the amazing blue in here. Then we are talking which one was that? Sorry, Molly? Cyclamen. Molly and names of flowers, and and then we are going to go for the cantaloupe in here that we have got in there, and then we have the peony, the bright pink in there. Then we have got a bright yellow, which is afternoon. It's the sun. It's the sun in the afternoon. It's the siesta time. And then we have the ivory. And then, of course, the gorgeous pool, which is what Jennie was using, is that gorgeous blue. Now, $12.99 is for 2 half-meter pieces. You could go for 2 of the same one if you wish to, but of course, it will be cut as 2 separate pieces. 929316 is your item number. You will find them all on the website, and of course, including the books from Jennie. You will find them there. And of course, Jennie mentioned the fusible blends, of course, the Rotary cutters as well, and I love that you have got the 3 different sizes, the 45, the 60 and the 28, but also the patchwork ruler, including that 15.5 by 15.5 square. And do not forget about the limited edition or limited quantities, should I say, of those Tilda fabrics. Now once they're gone, and you can see that there are only 2 options of one of them. We had already sellouts in there, in that the garden plums, so make sure to check out your baskets. Right, Jennie, we have got about 10 minutes. What have
we're
you
going
got
to
for us?
whisk you through the understanding of how you do the cushion that I have here.
Perfect.
Right.
I love
this
that.
one.
Yeah.
So we're going to look at this, and this is called the bias effect, because basically this is giant bias binding applied to a background fabric. All the details on how you do it are in, believe it or not, Creative Tucks and Textures for Quilts and Embroidery. And you'll find it is here in step-by-step instructions. But the one problem that people often have is, how do they cut out the bias strips? Well, you can do this with your regular ruler. You can do this on the cutting mat. You can do it with any of the acrylic tools that has a 45-degree line on it. There's my 45-degree line. I just happen to have got this square to hand because, as I'm homeless at present, I've left my big ruler somewhere in the dust. In my building site at home is my big ruler. When you come to cut out anything on the bias, please do not have your fabric folded. All right, I've already cut several pieces out of this. Lay it out flat. Okay. On the tool you're using, the 45-degree line needs to go down the selvage. So whether you're using a ruler, whether you're using a square, whatever you're choosing to use, the 45-degree line goes down the selvage. And I'm just going to slide it down a little bit. Once you've got the 45-degree line running down the selvage, you cut up the edge of whichever tool or ruler you are using. Right. In the case of what I'm going to do now, you will require 5-inch wide strips. Now, it is a bit silly to wobble your way all the way along such a long length, but if you fold the fabric in half, I can then measure from that neatly cut edge 5-inch wide strips. So here again, I can use my ruler or I can use this particular board. 5 inches and cut. You'll require probably about 4 pieces of your half-meter of fabric. Right. What will happen then is you're going to want a square to put it on. So there is a square to put it on. I'm just using a small square. I could have had a square 12.5-inch square. I could have had a square that size. If I had a square that size, you'd have needed more fabric cut on the bias. Yep. All your bias strips get pressed sides to middle. Now don't fuss about this. All you have to do is fold one side over and then fold the other side to suit, and whether that's bang in the middle or not is irrelevant. Okay, yeah. This is good fabric and you're not going to get shadowing through. Once you've done that, lay the fabrics, let's have the poppies my way up, these bias strips onto that backing fabric, and you're going to be placing them so they snuggle up nice and close to each other. Okay. I've got a little bit of extra length here. I can trim that off in a moment, so I can trim it off with my rotary cutter. And the idea is to cover the backing square with these bias strips.
Yeah.
Okay, and because I'm being fussy, I'm having my poppies all going in the same direction, because
well, it's good to be fussy when the results are going to look a little bit better.
Such lovely fabric here. And on the ends here, rather than have a little tiny weeny bit hanging out there, I just open the bias strip.
Yeah, because
get rid of that.
That's clever.
And do ditto on the other end. Have I got a bit there that will fit?
You're rather thrifty, aren't you, Jenny?
I'm afraid I'm very thrifty. That will fit a treat there. Right, so just cut off the excess round here, round here. Don't fuss too much at this moment in time, being absolutely perfect. What will then happen is you are going to sew, and I will do this between now and tomorrow, 1/2 inch away from each of these folded edges. So you're going to stitch along here, 1/2 inch, here 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And the reason for 1/2 inch is it's going to give me sufficient fabric to be able to roll back.
Yeah, so it will give you almost like 1/4 inch or something like that.
Well, if you go less than 1/2 inch, the rolled back edge is actually slightly mean. 1/2 inch works. Now, when it comes to using the presser foot, you could move the needle over so it's on the furthest away from that folded edge, eyeball a little bit. You could draw a line on there, and again you could use this particular ruler if you wanted to, because there's a nice 1/2 inch line on there. So you could draw a line on there using some form of marking device that possibly was removable. You could indeed, if you wanted to, use, I'll just get my box out because I forgot to get it out earlier, something as bizarre as a stitch ripper.
Oh.
And the reason for using a stitch ripper is rather than draw a line, or move my needle over or get in an awful muddle, if you use a stitch ripper and you use the blunt side, not the sharp end, this edge here, you can actually score a line in the fabric using the stitch ripper. And that will give you, possibly can't see it here.
Perfect, no, we can see it perfectly.
An indentation, and you sew along the indentation.
Yeah.
And in essence, what you will do is you'll sew 1/2 inch here and 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 here. It's really boring. And this will make a channel. And it's inside the channel that you could, and this is why I'm going to return to the book, because I will do this between now and the 8 o'clock show. So you'll have to watch the 8 o'clock show for further exciting developments. Is to, let me just find, I only wrote the book, doesn't mean to say I know exactly what the page is, I could have marked it. Is that when you've done your various channels, you can open it up and put some embellishment in the seam there.
Right.
If you wish, you don't have to. You could have had a ribbon down there, a matching ribbon of some sort. And once you've made those channels, you can roll back the folds, and they roll back in these arc shapes because this fabric was on the bias. And you simply roll back, stitch down, and you could use invisible thread, you could use thread that matches the fabric, you could use thread that does a contrast. And I used one of the blind hem stitches or the applique stitches. The one thing you don't want to use is a straight stitch. So this particular effect is nothing more complex than great big fat pieces of bias binding laid onto a backing fabric that's going to show when you roll back the edges. You'll get the contrast there, and you get these lovely ellipses all the way through.
That is glorious. And of course you are using the blue poppies, or the poppies.
I'm using the blue poppies on the cantaloupe blender.
Cantaloupe. Fabulous. Now that makes amazing. Well, I need to mention the blue poppies, but because the lilac ones now are sold, the technical sell out. Of course, I have them here. Now, if you want them in the pick and mix, now if you go for, you still have the option to go for the one-day special of the lilac and coral, and of course you will get the poppies included in there. But if you wanted to go for the pick and mix, and this one was one of your choices, like it was mine, if you check out right now you will get them, otherwise you will miss out. And it is a glorious print. Make sure to check out your baskets for that one. Remember that you have got for the one day special 4 or 5 different options. You have got the mustard and pink, the lilac and coral, the green and sage, and of course the blue. Caster, oh, It's funny because so the mustard and pink is my favorite. The green and sage is Molly's producer's favorite, and you know what? They are neck and neck as being the most popular. So if you want either one, yeah, like Molly says, like me and you, the most popular ones. Well, that's you, darling, not me. Anyway, and of course, you know, she's an absolutely glorious beauty. But you have the glorious, beautiful fabrics to take home with you. The beautiful Tilda Garden Life. You have the greens and sage that's starting now. It's absolutely stunning, glorious, exquisite. That detail, I love that you have got a little bit of more bolder prints in a way. Bolder in the sense of bigger, oversized flowers in there, but not too oversized that you will not be able to use it for English paper piecing should you wish to take some sewing with you.
Yes. Should you be able to go on holiday again?
Well, yeah,
who knows?
True.
Who knows?
Well, a staycation as well. Maybe the holiday is going to the garden with some garden life.
Go and sit in the sun, or
Exactly.
sit underneath the umbrella in the rain.
Yes. Well, I'm very lucky I have got a conservatory because I kind of feel that that's the only way to get some, you know, some kind of life outside the house. But if you want to go for this amazing one-day special, remember all 5 options are in stock right now. Will they be in stock later on? Well, who knows? You have got the choice to check out your baskets. We haven't got a 5 hours one-day special. No, this is like a mini one-day special in a way. So in terms of live hours. Now we will be back at 8 a.m. and of course 8 p.m. tonight, and then 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock are easy quilting with Jennie. So you still get 5 hours of Jennie. That's the important thing. However, the focus at 12 and at 4, it will not be the one-day special. So therefore, get it in your baskets while it is in stock, all the different options. Remember, the Pick and Mix already has seen a sellout. We have had sellouts of other Tilda options in the website. So it makes sense to check out those baskets and grab them. They are absolutely exquisite. I have to say, I am a big fan of Tilda. I have been for many years. It was one of the few names I know. I knew Tilda, I knew Mora. And this is probably one of my top favorite collections for Tilda because I see it as a summary, I see it as exquisite, I see something that is not going to age, it's going to be timeless. So whatever project you have in mind, this will work. I think for all the sort of projects like patterns, like book, you know, like notebook covers, you know, like backpacks, little bags, little cosmetic bags, beautiful quilting techniques like Jennie is showing, they work for it. Jennie, of course, we will see you at 8 p.m. with
You will
Derek.
indeed, yes.
Absolutely love what you have done this hour, but can you tease us a little bit on what we are going to see at 8 p.m.?
I'm going to tease you very much what you're going to see at 8 p.m. You are going to see how to put a binding on the edge of a small quilt.
Of course.
And on this one, I've got the peonies on the front, and I've used the country garden on the back.
Love that.
With that yellow, I forget its name now, blender. What was it called? Oh no, it was called Afternoon.
Oh, afternoon. Of course, a mother solid.
I will also explain a little further the one you've done, and then I'm going to show you how to do this.
Oh, which of course, that has got the iris and the cyclamen. Thank you so much, Jennie. We'll see you at 8 p.m. Stay tuned because we have got more here at the Craft.